Hello everyone, this is Pooja again from Simple IT Learning. Today I'm going to talk about functional and non-functional testing. So what is functional testing? Functional testing, generally speaking, talks about the functionality or the behavior of the system. The input given to the system, the output received from the system. If you are getting the desired output, your functionality of the system is working as it's supposed to be. However, non-functional testing is more in terms of the usability. System can take the input, can give the right output, but whether it is behaving that the customer would be pleased to have it. So for instance, if you are asking a system to do a calculation of 2, you give 2 plus 2, and the output is 4, which it is giving as 4, but maybe giving that output is taking longer than 10 minutes that you can do on your fingers. So even the system is doing the right expected behavior, but it is not really usable. It's not really helping a user. That type of testing when we do is called a non-functional testing. We will talk about this functional and non-functional testing in this video using some examples, which is, I'm supposed, which is going to help you. So I have taken here some examples, which is very simple, easy to understand the difference between the functional and non-functional testing. So the first example I have taken, which is a very common example, is login screen. I give my username, I give my password, and it says, yes, it's good, like it's valid, good. But validating that user ID and password is taking like more than 5 seconds, more than 20 seconds, like depending upon the system. So that type of a testing is called non-functional testing. Downloading an app, it gives me what I'm supposed to look like. It is giving me the content and everything, but again, it's taking more than the desired time to load. So third is like if you have to upload any file and the file is going and reaching it to the right location, which is all good, but what about if you have to upload 10 files at the same time? Is it doing the same amount of work? Is it doing the right thing, and it is storing all 10 at the same time? Save my password, like one of the example is like save my password functionality, like user logs in, the password is saved in this, but if I'm copying the same URL and using it into a different device, is it taking the same password and doing it? That security kind of a testing. So that type of a testing is called non-functional testing. Adding product in a shopping cart, like your prices is getting calculated everything, but if 50 users are doing it at the same time, is it doing the same amount of work? Open a URL in a browser, page opens as expected, but does it look and feel the same way? Clicking a link taking to a specific page, which is fine, but the GUI's standard based on the company and based on various different things is right as per that's a non-functional testing. So these are some basic examples that I thought like maybe help you a little bit understand what a difference between the functional and the non-functional testing. Now I'll talk about a little bit more detail on what is functional testing. So you might have heard about the terms called unit testing, system integration testing, GUI testing, black box, white box testing, smoke testing, end-to-end testing, ad hoc testing, alpha beta testing. All these testing, one thing is common, that you are testing the functionality of the application. You give some input, you get some output. Unit testing, system integration, GUI testing, black box, white box, smoke testing, end-to-end, everything, you give some input, you take some output. More or less, you talk about the behavior of the system, what system is supposed to do. If you need to know the details about these individual testing, what these testing are, please watch out for my other videos where I have explained these individual testings in more detail, as this specific video is more about functional and non-functional testing. Non-functional testing. Security testing, one of the examples that I gave you in the previous slide was, I saved my password, if you remember. So in one of the laptops that I'm using, I have an option selected, save my password. Good, because that's my personal laptop. I use it every time, so it makes sense for it to save the password. What if I copy the URL and I paste it into some other system? I send it through the email and then I copy into another laptop. Does it work? If it does, as a security testing. Load testing, one of the examples I gave you was a shopping cart. You're like one person is doing the shopping, 50% is doing the shopping. Volume testing, like if I'm uploading the file, like if one file versus 10 files. Stress testing, like, if the capacity of the server, like, it's, for example, it's 100 Gbps, but if I'm doing more than that, what happens at that time? That also comes into the disaster recovery testing. Software compliance testing, I gave you an example of the page is loading, but it is as per the standard. So for example, you go to any shopping site or you go to any banking site, generally, like if the theme of the site is, let's say, blue with a blue content, and all of a sudden you started seeing red or green or font size different, it does not look good. So that is like a compliance, like using the company standard, using the software industry standard. Same thing is with the usability testing, like how the GUIs look like and the browser compatibilities. I have taken an example of the online grocery center. You might have seen the same example in my other videos too. So in this example, uh, let's say the same, I will take the same thing, the prices are increased by 10%. So checking the prices have increased by 10% is a functional testing. How much time is getting it to load the page? If I'm clicking on this, if I'm clicking to select the cart, that's a non-functional testing. Price is calculated right is a functional testing. But getting it to the shopping, printing the receipt is taking 10 minutes, that's a non-functional testing. If I'm copying the URL where I'm doing the testing and I'm copying into other browser, it is taking my user ID, that's like a security testing, which is a non-functional testing. So those are the testing, like, whenever you talk about the behavior, it's a functional testing. Whenever you talk about the usability, that's a non-functional testing. You can always feel free to write me if you need more examples to understand, or if you have anything, any specific question, any type of testing. I hope this video help you understand basic difference between the functional and non-functional testing. Feel free to write me anytime. I'll try to respond ASAP. Thank you very much.